hear him. And so I know I need to have a job. A job where I humble myself and do what I think is below me. And we all have stuff that is below us. Have you cleaned the toilets lately? In the mentoring system that I'm working, like if you've met Eric. The other day we had lunch and he goes, I am getting so sick of this cleaning job that you got me doing. I want to do a real job. I said, and as long, he goes, I know. As long as that attitude's there. I want him to be free of cleaning the churches. He cleans 4 churches and a big mechanic shop. Gets, I think, $9 an hour. College graduate, man! Steve Howe, baseball player, top baseball player. Had to learn this, so we came in and said, we'd like you to do the toilets and work with the youth. Yeah. Why? Because I wanted the toilets clean? If that's the reason, then I ought to get my wallet out and pay somebody. But the reason is, he needed to learn to hear God. And you can't hear God when you're prideful in self-sustaining. You can't hear him. He's speaking a different language. So for the intellect, you humble it. I get a big kick out of so many places I go. People start off with me with a mentality of, why are we doing all this? And there's a little giggle in my heart because it's going to find out who's prideful and who's not. We'll know. One of the mistakes that happens with leaders a lot is we try to pick the talented people that have it all together. And what happens is we get prideful people that have it all together and can perform. And then you have to break them. Oh, now that's fun. Oh, the language that can come out of a dignified person's mouth when you're breaking them. I usually pick the people that aren't like that. The people that don't believe in themselves because God does, and when they see that, they're already humble. And they're just in awe of God's trust in them. The prideful people, Jesus was very careful with. There was one real prideful guy in the group. Who was it? I don't see Peter's real prideful. See, he was tripping all over the place, but there was somebody that never left his pride dot. Judas. And what did Jesus do with him? He gave him a job. He gave him the money. Why did he give the money? Because the money wasn't important. Now, is that how it functions in our church? How important is the money? Why? Why didn't Jesus worry about it? Why didn't he need it? He trusted God. He was connected. He was connected. And that's really tricky, because you got to pay for the lights, and I'm broke, and where's God? You see what I'm saying? We want to trust God by having money in the bank account. Not that it'll be here. What if it isn't here? Prune. But the kingdom means we advance. If God says. What's advancement? What God says is advancement. And sometimes he says, pull that back. See, the key comes down to connected to God. So money is the only thing that didn't involve the people. So he gave Judas the job that didn't matter. Because he didn't want him interacting with the people. I'm utterly convinced of that. Because Jesus had a good take on the 2 kingdoms. The non-reality kingdom, money is everything. On this one, it doesn't mean nothing. We talk about it, you know, what was it you were saying, Dale? You can't take that with you. How many have seen the movie Fireproof? We all agree with that principle, but do we live it? He's not investing in the true important thing, which is his family and his wife. But we get tripped and trapped. So the principles are what we're going to be after. That was a principle I just gave you of how do you help people receive a revelation. You can picture the principle like this. God is consistently pouring out revelation. If you want to catch it, what would be the smartest thing you could do? Get a cup and put it under it. You get a cup, humility, and you put it under it, service. And so with my team, I literally teach them that. I need to give you jobs. If you're going to work with me, you must have a job. Why? Because that's how you will humble yourself and learn. So let me show you that. I don't want anybody doing any jobs for the next 4 months. Serve yourself. Take care of yourself, and I'm going to preach. At the end, I want to have you write down what you learned. What they learned was weird. And then, okay, now, everybody find the job you want least on the list, and that's your job for the next 3 months, and do it with a good attitude. Go to God until your attitude's right. And then let's teach. Man, you should hear this. Man, you know what the Lord's from? You know what the Lord's from? You know the Lord. He talks. My, oh my. I remember one of the guys, it was my son Alex, he goes, God talks. He's talking all the time. He's not hard to hear. We're just not positioned to hear it. You've got to take the plugs out of your ears. One is pride, the other is selfishness. And if you take those plugs out, you'll hear him louder and louder and louder. And that's why, along with the ministry, if you were wise, you'd get a couple training wheels called serving. You'd say, Lord, it's worth it to me that until I learn to humbly serve, to choose to humbly serve as a rule, until I get it. You see what I'm saying? But no pastor or leader has the right to make you do that rule. That's why I educate the principle to my team and let them choose. Here's the principle. So for me to work with you, this is your choice. If you're going to work with me, you're going to learn this principle. So this is how we'll learn it. Or you don't need to be with us. That's fine. And I honestly have no problem with that. And now they're all screaming for jobs. Why? You get addicted to hearing God. One of my most favorite miserable jobs was vacuuming. I was an interior decorator. And our boss was laying off people, including the person that vacuumed. And we've got rooms and rooms and rooms of carpet that people walk on all day long. So they needed somebody to volunteer 2 hours of their sales time to vacuum. And Lord said, if you take it up, I can chat with you. Oh, I looked great to the team. Man, she's such a servant. That wasn't what it was about. I'm listening to my Father. So I'm in there just talking with God. And I discovered the vacuuming was perfect because you could talk. You know, I expected to be nuts. So they see my mom, well, you know, she's schizo, so it's all right. She sells good. But I learned more about the people in that building from God's perspective for 2 hours a day. And that's what it's about. Was it above me to vacuum? I was their top salesman, for crying out loud. And if I focus